Good morning, dear procurement people. Grab a cup of coffee and let's start in your daily dose of procurement insights with the ProcurementZen experience. And today we are in part two of how to be more productive in procurement. With today, we're going to cover the Eisenhower matrix. But before we do that, let's kick it off with the intro.
Are you looking to up your negotiation and procurement skills? You're in the right place. Welcome to Procurement Zen with your host, Phil Kowalski.
Alright, so yesterday we talked about the Pomodoro technique, and that was the first part of this two-part mini-series. And the Pomodoro technique is basically an excellent technique to have focus, to keep how do you say that, disturbing things away and all that kind of stuff. Today, that means basically the task you're focusing on. And today we're using another amazing tool, the Eisenhower matrix, to determine what tasks are it at the end that we want to work on. So basically the Eisenhower matrix is a 2x2 matrix with two axes. On the x-axis we have importance with two milestones, unimportant first and important to the right. And on the y-axis we have urgency, from not urgent to urgent at the top. So that gives us basically four fields of action in this 2x2 matrix. The bottom left, unimportant and not urgent, this field is called eliminate. And we will go into each of the fields in a little bit more detail in a second. The bottom right, important, not urgent, this field is called decide. The top left, unimportant but urgent, this is called delegate. And finally, top right, important and urgent, this is called do. So what needs to be done in each of these fields? Let's have a look at them. Let's have a look at each of them one by one. The easiest one is maybe eliminate, because those are tasks that are neither important, so they are unimportant, nor urgent. They're not urgent. So this is where you find tasks that will actually kill your productivity. They do nothing for you and they drain your energy. Be brave and make sure to eliminate these tasks. So some examples could be constantly checking your emails just to see if something new drops in, mindless social media surfing, or pseudo activities that only serve your procrastination. Okay, I only have to do that before I have that difficult call with the supplier. So the next quadrant is the decide quadrant, and tasks that are important but not urgent. So what you usually do with these tasks is to schedule time for them and then do them. You don't do them right now. You find a time slot and then you do them. Examples are replying to an important email from your boss, reading an important business book, etc. One word of warning though, you have to make sure that you do not skip the scheduled meeting or time blocker you have set. Otherwise, these topics from the decide quadrant, they slip into the do quadrant and they all of a sudden become very urgent. So make sure you schedule them and then do them once they are due. The third quadrant is called delegate, and that's where we find tasks that are not important, but nevertheless they are urgent. And this somehow sounds strange, right? So shouldn't all urgent tasks also be important? In theory, maybe, but I've found out, or I've experienced that in reality, urgency is oftentimes executed upon you, and it's other people's urgency and not necessarily yours. Meaning, yes, it can be, if it's your boss's urgency, it can be your urgency as well. But maybe it's someone else's urgency and you don't want to comply with it. And that's totally fine. So you may want to delegate these tasks eventually to someone else. So typical tasks are meetings where you, as a strategic procurement person, can provide no value add. You should skip those. Also, I made it a measure for myself. If I get a meeting invite without an agenda, without me immediately getting what the topic is all about, I simply reject those meetings because my time is too valuable to go into a meeting for 30, 60, 90 minutes, blocking my valuable time, which I can bring to more benefit for the company, just to find out that I cannot contribute anything. So let's go to the last quadrant, and this last quadrant is do. And these are the important and urgent tasks. I would recommend to set up a substantial amount of time during your day for these A-list tasks. Something like 1 to 2 hours every day worked very well for me, because the thing these days is sometimes you do not know what comes and when it comes to you, when the task is handed over to you, but nevertheless you couldn't neither deny its urgency nor its importance. So you have to have some buffer for these A-list tasks, for these do tasks. So some examples these are things that really provide value to your own bottom line, such as import negotiations, negotiation preparation, a sourcing kickoff with an important stakeholder, etc. So that basically concludes our two-part episode on being more productive in procurement. If we revisit today, we talked about the Eisenhower matrix, and that's a nice little system for yourself, and you could even set this up virtually, a nice little system to classify tasks. And once you have classified which tasks you're really working on, and out of the 4 quadrants, it's basically only 2, it's decide and do, then you use the Pomodoro technique to focus without any distractions and work on those tasks. So if you have not seen yesterday's episode, make sure to watch it here on YouTube, as I have, where I have adapted the Pomodoro technique to our procurement daily life. As always, you can find the episode highlights over at ProcurementZen.com/042. That's ProcurementZen.com/042 for episode 42. Or if you're listening to the podcast, you can go to ProcurementZen.com/YouTube to come to our YouTube channel and to this very episode. So that concludes that mini series. As always, happy negotiations and see you tomorrow.